Tennessee, if this isn't their year, then they're not going to have a year. I guess 2017 you'll still bring back a lot of pieces, and Jarrett Garantano could be Dobbs running with Peyton's passing, and that would be awesome. But I think if you can't get it done this year in the East, when are you going to get it done? You got Josh Dobbs, Jalen Hurd, Alvin Kamara. You've got a relatively young offensive line, but you saw, even the true freshmen coming in halfway through the Alabama game and getting good push on the best defensive line arguably in the nation. I think offense, they're completely set up, except with maybe the question mark at wide receiver, to be dominant, to score. I mean, basically just name a number of points that you want to score and go out and do it. There's a lot of good being said about Tyler Bird, the freshman coming in, who switched from defensive back to wide receiver. Marquez Callaway, I've heard about him. Then you look at Josh Malone. Will he be able to make that next step and be the wide receiver that everybody thought he was going to be coming in? I think Preston Williams is going to be that wide receiver. Josh Smith, he's a great possession possession wide receiver out of the slot. And I think that's what it comes down to. Are those wide receivers and Josh Dobbs going to be able to get on the same page? I don't worry about the running game at all. And I think the offensive line will do fine with protecting Dobbs and get him push.
We talked about quarterback play earlier. I trust Dobbs' quarterback play. The biggest thing on defense for me is the pass rush, and I trust Tennessee's pass rush. So, I see them winning 9 games this year. The over-under is 9.5. I can see them winning 9 and still winning the East. And then it comes down to the SEC championship game. But my question marks are the receivers. They are definitely hyped. Malone was a 5-star. Preston Williams was a 4 or 5 himself. Josh Smith's really the only guy who's been consistent for this team.
Yeah. And
he's not a down-the-field kind of guy. And that's what Tennessee's offense was missing was those splash plays, those, deep routes, those post patterns, stuff like that. They're hitting little 4-yard hitches all day and running the ball, which works. But if you want to take that next step and not just worry about winning the East, then you're going to have to get play out of those receivers, and I'm not convinced you're going to get it.
Okay. I think the defensive front is going to be I don't see any reason why Tennessee can't absolutely dominate the East this year. I don't see why you can't have Florida come into your place and you just beat the brakes off of them. They don't have an offensive line to speak of, and even if your defense, you saw Tennessee score 28 points on Florida's defense last year, which again I think is going to be not as good as last year's defense. So Tennessee doesn't have any problem scoring points on anybody. I just don't think that Florida will have the offense to score any points back. The other thing, talking about players like Khalil McKenzie, he's dropped 20-something pounds.
I wanted him to gain 20-something pounds.
You wanted him to be at 360?
Yeah, I want to run like a 2-5 defense. I want Tuttle and McKenzie on like a Burger King diet, 400 pounds each, just clogging the middle.
They wouldn't be able to move out of the middle, that's for sure.
You wouldn't be able to move them, yeah.
But no, Khalil McKenzie, he's 320-something pounds and runs over 16 miles an hour. Like, you really want to face that?
That doesn't happen in nature.
No.
Like humans aren't supposed to get to this point. It's incredibly scary.
And then again, Shai Tuttle should be back, and he was really starting to come into his own until Kublano from Georgia that was probably one of the dirtiest shots I've ever seen in college football, outside of the Arkansas player dismantling the Vanderbilt guy who was didn't even touch the football and just got his clock cleaned for no reason. That would probably, the Kublano hit is probably second to that.
Did you see where they put him on the ticket for the Tennessee game?
Oh, yeah. And it's like these, they're not stupid at Georgia. They know what happened.
You know that?
I guess not.
They fired Rick.
That's very true. Yeah, I guess there's some questionable things. And then I'm just like, Georgia fans, man, like people want to talk about Tennessee fans being delusional, and there are some definitely. Talk about Florida fans being delusional. There are some that are definitely there. I think everybody's an Alabama fan now. They've got the biggest bandwagon of anybody. But I mean, come on, guys. Like, really? I've had people argue to me that they had the number one pass defense last year. Okay. And then tell me that Dobbs can't pass the football. Well, he threw for 300 plus yards on the number one pass defense in the country then, and ran for another 100. So don't tell me that you're stacked on defense when Tennessee comes in and one player by himself gets over 400 yards on you. They come back from a 21-point deficit to beat your team, and then tell me about how great Georgia is. Again, these are just another reason why I don't see Georgia being any different than what they were last year with Rick as opposed to Kirby Smart. I think Kirby Smart's going to have growing pains. I think the offense is going to have growing pains from having to learn a new offense. You won't see anything different on defense because you had Jeremy Pruitt there last year who basically runs the same thing that Kirby Smart's coming in to run. So I think you'll see. I don't think you'll have a schematic problem on the defense. I think it'll definitely be a personnel problem. I don't know that they've recruited yet to get to the 3-4, the switch from the 4-3 to the 3-4.
Yeah, it comes down to when do those growing pains show up. Are you going to get them against Georgia Southern? Or are you going to get them in the fourth quarter against Tennessee?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I could see them winning the East if the chips fall right, but I think Tennessee's definitely the favorite.
Yeah. And then you look at the linebacking core with Jalen Reeves-Maben, Darren Kirkland Jr. Tennessee for the past few years has only run a nickel package for the most part. I think at nickel they've got Rashawn Golden and a few others they're trying out at nickel. And Bob Shoop is known for being able to coach defensive backs really well. And Tennessee, again, they've got the horses there. They got Todd Kelly Jr. On the other end, you're going to see Evan Berry. And again, it depends on where they end up putting people, because I've been surprised sometimes where I see who Tennessee starts and who they sit in certain places. So I mean, you're going to see Cam Sutton in the number one cornerback spot. The other one is either going to be Justin Martin or Emmanuel Mosley.
I think it's going to be Martin. I think Martin, when he got his chance, he showed that he's got more polish than Mosley ever had, because Mosley's inexperienced. I don't think he had that much high school play. He got recruited basically for need, if I recall, and based on potential. He seemed just lost with the ball in the air at times, where Martin, I like his instincts a lot better.
Yeah. Emmanuel Mosley, who when was offered, was a 2-star, and really the only thing that you could say about him is that he was really, really fast and he was long. And that's probably the two things that Butch Jones looks for when evaluating talent. I think he got bumped up to a 3-star, but even with that, I think he's been a reliable backup. There's been some times where he's been burned, but I think that happens as a defensive back no matter who you are.
It usually does, yeah. It just seemed like it happened to Mosley a little more. But we talked about this a few weeks ago, was our third down pass rush, where I want to see Kongbo, Barnett inside, Phillips, and Vereen on the outside. If it's 3rd and 13, you just say, go get the quarterback. I don't see anyone wanting to play offensive line against that lineup right there.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I know Kongbo can run more than 16. I'll have to go back and look. He might be in the 20+ club. But I mean, that dude is big, fast, scary. He's put on weight. Like, he was a beast to begin with, and he's put on weight.
I think his name just makes him stronger. That's just the best last name. Like, he's going for that last rep, and like, come on, Kongbo. He just powers it out.
And he is a workout warrior, for sure.
No doubt.
But yeah, I mean, and Kongbo is a guy they're talking about maybe moving in on the inside for certain sets. Again, especially on a third down pass situation, why not? He's big enough to play interior, and he's fast enough to play on the outside. So why not flip him around a little bit, see what you can get out of him?
Yeah, I like moving him inside. I looked at some of his tape from junior college. His best move is an inside move. Will that work on a guard where you got a center helping you? I don't know. But most of the times when he was beating tackles for his sacks, I think he had 12 last year, it was an inside move. Maybe it's that threat of speed going outside and then I can go inside and beat you. Will that translate to the middle? I want to find out because he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, oh yeah. And the other wild card on that defensive line, because if there's one place where Tennessee is thin, it's in that defensive interior. And are they going to get Alexis Johnson back? He's been cleared by the student judicial committee, whatever they had. Butch Jones has said recently that his status hasn't changed. When I first heard about what he did with the assault and everything, and false imprisonment, they've dropped a lot of those charges. I don't know for exactly what reason, but my initial thing was I hope he never sees the field, especially after all the Title IX issues that Tennessee has dealt with. Like, you don't need another reason to look at Tennessee's players' treatment of women as anything but on the up and up. But I mean, of course, now the decision is kind of in their hands. He pled guilty in court, but he's been cleared by the student judicial committee, whatever they have. So I mean, and he would be a good, certainly now he wouldn't be able to just start day one. He would need a little bit of development because he's just been out of it for so long. And I mean, it's a completely different thing when you're trying to train yourself on your own, or maybe even with the help, as to when you're in an actual, football strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, and he wasn't going to start ahead of Tuttle or if healthy, or McKenzie, or probably even Vickers anyway.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have those bodies inside, because if anyone's going to take a beating, it's those guys. There's always attrition. From what I've heard, and we're filming this or taping this on August 18th, the roster balloons up a few spots next week, and that's when they're probably going to slot him in there. So they're just waiting on those few extra spots to get him in there and get him some reps.
Okay.